All right. Boom shakalaka.
Top of the world. Top of the world. Yeah, top of the world. Top of the world. Yeah, top of the world. Top of the world. Yeah, top of the world. Top of the world. Yeah, top of the world.
Top of the world. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Worst Ones podcast. I am your boy Root Scoot in the building. Got Terry Wayne, got Kellie Lee. Janessa Rowland is somewhere in the world, probably with Carmen Sandiego. But until she comes back, we are here. We are PKs. We are the Worst Ones. This is our podcast. Welcome back, 500 million viewers, and welcome anybody new who decided to join the party in the congregation. Terry Wayne, how are you, sir? How's it going?
I'm doing good. It is we're doing this on a Sunday, so this would be my me time that I am sacrificing.
Thank you, Terry, for sharing your me time with us.
For the benefit of our 500 million listeners.
Gotcha. So you basically beat your meat during this time normally.
What's that?
Normally you're beating your meat during this time is what you're saying.
No,
so
I do that on company time.
Gotcha.
That way I get paid for it. So it's technically a profession.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. All right. Sounds good. Sounds good. I ain't mad at it.
No, I was watching Apocalypse Now. So.
Apocalypse Now. I've never seen that. Is that new?
Oh, you should. It's Francis Ford Coppola. He made The Godfather.
Yeah, I didn't see Godfather either, so there's that. There's that. Who made the Lion King
lottery ticket?
I watched it twice.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a hood classic though. Like as a black man, I get way more respect for seeing Lottery Ticket than The Godfather. Well, let's just be real.
Things got to change. Things got to change.
You know. What about you, Kellie? Not how are you, but have you seen The Godfather or Lottery Ticket?
I have seen Lottery Ticket.
That's what I'm saying.
Of course.
Never
seen Apocalypse Now, but have seen the Players Club on the reg.
Hey man,
it's
directed by Ice Cube. You know what I'm saying?
Listen, hey, if you don't have any culture, that's fine. That's up to you. You know.
I think me watching Players Club is definitely culture.
Right.
I think that's the definition of culture.
Is it now?
It's literally black culture.
It's
not multi. It's not
technically food.
It's not multicultural, but it's definitely for the culture, as they said. Kellie,
like I said, and McDonald's is technically food, but not really.
Yeah, I don't get the reference, but go ahead, Kellie. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Can't complain. I told you guys last week that I was 0.2 from losing the 50 pounds. And then Rudy made a joke about what if you don't lose that 0.2? And had we have recorded on Wednesday, I had not lost that 0.2. And every day I was cursing Rudy out when I couldn't lose that 0.2, like not 2 pounds, not 2.2.
0.2 of a pound.
That's all I needed. And I couldn't do it until yesterday.
Hey, man.
I'm down 50 pounds.
Way to go, losing 4 ounces. All right.
Thank you. But overall, I've lost 50 pounds, so I'm super excited about that. It's been 2 years. It's been a journey, but that's been great.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Otherwise, can't complain. Like Terry said, it's Sunday night, so this is usually my get my life together for Monday morning. I started my meal prep, so I'll finish that when we finish, and out here just adulting on this nice Sunday night.
Gotcha. Well, I guess as everybody has stated, it is Sunday night. I don't think any of our viewers knew what day we recorded, but but you know,
they know.
Since we're going to acknowledge that we don't normally do it on Sunday, it's Sunday night. It has been hectic getting this particular episode recorded, but hey, it's called podcast.
But it's nobody's fault. Women, it's nobody's fault, though. That's the thing.
I mean, it started with
It's
Janessa,
nobody
but
with
it
a
rolled
penis's
downhill.
fault. Let's just put that out there.
I mean, I kind of contributed, especially even yesterday. The event ran long. It was a thing.
Mm.
I think that event might still be.
You had a show, Terry.
Terry,
I was gonna do the podcast on the way. I was just gonna do it in the car driving to the show.
Right.
I'm so glad I didn't miss that show. I ended up doing more than an hour, and I mean, it was one of the best shows I've had in a long time.
Good. See everything.
Yeah, crushed it.
There you go.
Crushed it. Rudy knows the feeling.
Yeah.
Congrats, man.
Just when they just laugh at your setups. That's when you know. That's when you know it's good.
They're not just being nice.
Huh? What's that?
Nice?
She said they're not just being nice.
No.
You were like legit funny. I hear you.
Oh yeah.
All right, what's up, man.
Yeah. If my girl wasn't there, I would have gotten laid that night for sure. 100%.
Okay.
100%.
Sound like a good night.
Gotcha.
Sound like a good night.
Well, yeah. Well, this is probably the coolest backdrop I've ever had. It's actually not even that big. It's just a little. I don't know what you call this thing. I don't know. My mom has it in the room. And
screen? Is it a screen?
No, I don't. It's like you know, one of them things that can kind of fold if you got dress behind it type thing.
Yeah, it's called a screen.
But it's not okay. It's not made out of like screen material. So that's what
I thought you were asking. It's a different kind. It's a dressing screen.
Right. A dressing screen for sure. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it's but yeah, it just sits behind this little couch I'm sitting on, and anyway, I'm at my mom's house in Tampa. That's it. So, new
location. Say hello.
She's in the other room. I can't get up right now.
At the end of it, tell her that. And when she hears the podcast,
Kelly meant later.
Hey, right.
Like, later, tell her she said
Gotcha. But all is well with me. Nothing too major. All right. Well, let's do a podcast, shall we?
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do a quick podcast.
let's talk about it. I'll make sure it's at least 45 minutes or longer. All right.
30.
Starting from now, so it'll be technically 45 minutes plus 7.
Well, 45
would be by yourself.
45 would be appropriate because we're missing a quarter of the hosts, so we could do a quarter less of the time.
I'll say that sounds to me like 35 minutes, 30 minutes.
Anyways, for all you guys rushing back to your personal time, let's talk about the topic of today, which is what, Terry?
Is gambling a sin? This is, and you both kind of had like this, when I brought it up, you're like, well, that's going to be 20 minutes. I don't think so. I think it's going to be, I think it's going to be a minute, because not even the Bible has a definitive answer, as far as I'm aware, on this particular subject.
Okay. And what does the Bible say?
Well, there's lots of different references to gambling. Most commonly, the one most commonly used in the Bible is casting lots, right? I'm sure you've heard that phrase in the Bible. Even when Christ was crucified, they cast lots for his clothes. Well, casting lots was basically their way of just throwing dice.
Okay. You know? What that means.
Okay. Yeah, it's basically they were throwing dice to see who got to take Jesus' clothes. There's no specific verse that calls it a sin, but there's things like Proverbs 28:20, which says, "A faithful man will abound in his blessings, but whoever hastens to be rich will not go unpunished." Some people define that as being like if you go out and, try to win money quickly, that, basically the best explanation that I could come up with is that it's not a sin according to the Bible, but it does make you a bad steward.
Okay. And is being a bad steward a sin?
No, it's basically a foolish man.
Because my initial thought was, I guess this may not be the right word, the manifestation of gambling or what comes from gambling. So like you said, like the love of money or greed or trying to get rich quick. Those things that the Bible talks about more explicitly, that comes from gambling. Because why do you gamble? Like, what's the purpose of gambling? To is it just for recreation, just for fun? I get nothing from it, like playing basketball. Or is your goal, your purpose to get money, been getting money quicker? I would say that would be more of the sin than maybe the action itself.
Well,
okay.
A greater sin, and this is just one I know offhand, which is 2 Ephesians. Hang on, let me make sure I get it right here. But the greater sin is not necessarily the gambling. It's not pulling your weight, because 2 Ephesians says, "For even when we are with you, we will give you this command: if anyone is not willing to work, let him not to eat."
My father used to use that on me when I was
young. No, I've used it my whole life. It's kind of, I should have it tattooed on my neck at this point.
I don't think I realized that was in the Bible. I should have known.
Yeah, a man that doesn't work shouldn't eat.
Ugh, I should have known.
But going back to the old casting,
you just lost your 50 pounds. That's work.
That is work, but I eat.
Working to not eat.
Right.
So going back to the whole casting lots for just say to see who can bring Jesus his clothes. To me, that particular situation, I don't know the scripture, but I'm just going off of that type of a situation, whether it happened in the Bible, whether it happens right now. If some kids were shooting dice to see who could have the privilege of bringing me my clothes or whatever.
No. They were casting lots for his clothes to see who got to keep them.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Okay. It's Matthew 27:35. And when they had crucified him, they divided up his garments among them by casting lots.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes more sense. But then to my next point, going back to the whole is gambling a sin? I think I kind of in saying this, I'm kind of concurring with what you said, Kelly, I guess in reference to the intent behind it, because it's almost a requirement to gamble, especially when you're talking about
especially
in sports, if you're talking about in business, you know what I'm saying? Like to take a risk is what gambling is. I even looked up a definition. I mean, yeah, there is betting for money, but it's also taking a risk. You know what I'm saying? I mean, falling in love, getting married. I mean, all these things are technically a gamble. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but you don't even have to go that deep.
Those aren't deep at all. I'm saying these are all situations of gambling which are not sins. You know what I'm saying? So, but the gambling of money is the only one that kind of gets the bad rap as far as it being a sin. But you're technically taking a chance with any of them because you don't know what the end result is going to be.
Is being a stockbroker a sin then? Because the stock market's nothing more than a giant casino that you bet your money on. The only difference is instead of betting on dice or cards or a little ball in a track somewhere, you're betting on whether a company's going to do well or worse.
But that's my point. Even what I'm saying with entrepreneurship, like you starting a business, you're gambling. Like you're taking out the loan. You're taking all the risks to try to make this business a success. So I'm saying in business in general, whether it's stock market, anything, I think all of that is considered a gamble, which I don't see how it could be a sin, or if it is, then this is probably why we all sin and fall short, because it's even in our employment.
If you're going to take that point of view, then life itself is a gamble. Just by getting out of bed, you're gambling with your very life. You might slip in the tub and crack your head open.
Not if God is all knowing.
But we're talking about gambling money here, and I see zero difference in between Caesar's Palace in Vegas and the New York Stock Exchange. I've traded stocks and I've played in casinos, and they're the exact same thing. The only difference is Instead of betting on a horse, you're betting on Microsoft or you're betting on Facebook.
That's the same thing I'm saying. That's why I'm saying I don't see how it can be a sin. The only one that gets a bad rap for being a sin is when you're betting on money, like gambling, this playing cards, shooting dice, or whatever. But when you gamble in another arena, just like in business, stock market, whatever, it's not considered wrong. And that to the point that you're making, I don't really see. I guess it's making me question why is the money part even getting a bad rap if you can not gamble outside of maybe what Kellie said.
Right, we're in agreement. I'm just saying, like, but gambling on the stock market is still gambling. I've never understood why gambling is illegal, but the stock market's, what our economy is based on. Really, it's the same exact thing.
Right.
See, and I guess my thing is when I think of like gambling like Vegas, like I said, again, just and I don't know much about stocks, but I guess when I think of like Vegas, and I think of people who are addicted to gambling, and I don't know if people are addicted to stocks and the stock market and all that too, but people who are, I assume so. People who are addicted to gambling and all that comes from it. What is it called? Like the bookies or whoever that you got to give the money to if you lose, and I don't know how all that works. Yeah, the bookies.
That's illegal gambling, but yeah.
Oh, okay, I don't know. I just know on the TV shows and movies, they come right. And on the movies this Christmas. That's another cultural that gets into gambling for us.
But you've never seen The Godfather.
Nope.
For what?
Christmas, lottery ticket.
Sorry, it's only one of the greatest movies ever made. That's fine. Whatever.
But but that running from the bookie, you getting beat up and killed because you haven't been able to pay your money back. The people that are going to, steal stuff from their parents' house or breaking into stuff so they can have the money to do and that's all sorts of addictions, but when you see, like I said, gambling in that sense, and I think when I think of media, that's how gambling is portrayed. I see more of, like I said, that greed, that love for money, and it not working out well because at some point you lose. And then when you lose, then what happens? So I think kind of what Rudy was saying in terms of when you think of gambling, you only think of like betting on horses or going to the casino or betting on games or, those type of things. But I feel like in the media, that's what's shown. And you really only see the negative sides of that. People getting jumped and killed and followed and all sorts of stuff. And then you hear, stories about someone who did well in stocks and they have, they're rich because of that, or their retirement is great, or, whatever.
Yeah. That's ruined a lot of people's lives too. You just don't hear about those. Yeah.
I'm sure it's like you said, because it's a gamble, it's a risk, it may go either way, but I think how you handle whichever way it goes, and so is there a responsibility to, so let's say I gambled, I won $1 million, and we've talked about tithes before, but do I owe some of that money to the church? Does the church take that money that I won through the lottery or through gambling?
That's actually kind of the point that I wanted to get to. Was because my father, I remember I had a conversation with him years and years and years ago, back when I was a teenager. And I said, well, so gambling's wrong. And he goes, yeah, gambling's wrong. And I said, okay, what about the lottery? Is that wrong? And he goes, yeah. So I said, if I won the lottery and I wanted to build you a church, he's like, I wouldn't take it. And he's like, that money's tainted, is what he said. But now he trades stocks for a living. And I'm like, how is that not the exact same thing?
Does he see the difference, or does he see the similarities, or how does he?
I don't know. I don't think he sees it as, I don't think he sees it the same way, but it is exactly the same way. The only difference, everybody first of all, Wall Street and the commodities market in Chicago, they are the most greed-ridden places you've ever could imagine. Like, everybody's trying to get more and more and more. You talk about the love of money, that's the epicenter, that's the epicenter of the world for the love of money. Everybody trying to get an advantage on everybody else, trying to get new information. I mean, Martha Stewart, of all people, went to jail for that. Insider trading,
Mm-hmm.
So I've just never understood why people look at casinos and they're like, oh, that's disgusting. Watch people just go and risk their money to try and get rich. And I'm like, you're doing the exact same thing with your 401k.
But to me, with the casino, it's the whole, like, when you think of Vegas, and again, me, my mom, my dad, we've gone to Vegas, we walked through the whole, but when you think of like Vegas and casinos, you think of half naked women, you think of all of the other stuff that goes along with it.
That's not true. I think of full naked women.
Oh, well, even better or worse, however you want to go. Right. So that whole experience is sinful in people's eyes. I also see too why gambling is a sin, because again, I don't know laws as well, but gambling is also illegal in some states, and in however that works, or whatever that looks like. I don't gamble, so I don't know. And you would assume that something,
not if you're an Indian,
something that is illegal is also a sin. If it's, I think that there may be a correlation there. That if it's illegal, you're not supposed to do it. It's probably,
well, you're supposed to follow the laws of man.
But see, we also talked about this, Kelly. Go back to slavery. At one point, slavery was legal. So were all the people who were running away trying to be free, were they
breaking God's laws? Because they're breaking man's laws.
Know what I'm saying? Because you feel what I'm saying? So
I see what you're saying.
That's why, like, for the whole gambling thing, I think it really just is rooted in what you said earlier, as far as like the intent behind it. Because, like, even if me and you bet and was like, yo, if we play rock, paper, scissors to see who got to wash the dishes tonight. You know what I'm saying? Like that's us still gambling, but is that equivalent to me, spending my children's college fund at Vegas? You know what I'm saying? Because of just an addiction, or maybe I'm trying to come up for whatever reason or whatever. Like, so I think there's different levels of it, but to make gambling as a whole a sin, I think it's kind of tough. But I do think that it can definitely have sinful nature.
Well,
it can definitely
look at the biggest show in the country right now. Biggest show in the world right now. What is it? Squid Game, right? Have you guys watched that?
I haven't seen it.
It's a little overrated.
Okay. Well, it's a show based on gambling, essentially. But you're gambling with your life, and other people are gambling on your life. So, I mean, you can take it to one extreme or another, but it has to come down to an answer at the end of it. If you want to risk what is yours,
for all of gambling, though.
If you want to risk what is yours to try and gain more, is that a sin? It's yours. Shouldn't you be able to?
But that's what I'm saying. But what do you do? Like, to risk who I am right now? Like, okay, I'm gonna quit my job as a substitute teacher because I want to be a movie star. That's me risking who I am to get more. That doesn't make me wrong. But if I'm gonna risk, just say, already being a millionaire because I want to be a billionaire, and I'm willing to do, make some type of gamble to do that, well, now it depends on, is this gamble illegal, or am I just making a smart investment? All of these things, when it comes down to you gambling, it gets categorized. Like, that's why I don't think there's just one answer for gambling as a whole as a sin, because there's so many ways that you can gamble or take a risk or sacrifice what you have.
I think there is an answer. I think the answer is no, it's not. Because like you said, you can gamble on a lot of things. You can gamble on yourself, like you said. You're trying to be a stand-up comic, right? Isn't that a gamble? Right. I know that's a gamble. You know that's a gamble. And not only that, but the odds are against you. But you're taking a shot and you're betting on yourself. So, is gambling a sin? Whether it just be putting $5 down on the roulette wheel, or whether it's quitting your job as a lawyer to go become a baker.
But that's what I'm saying. I think it can be a sin, especially if, let's just say, like, I was a pastor, and I was willing to, just say gamble the tithes and offerings that's coming in on the low because I'm trying to get a bigger church.
Well, that's stealing.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
that's not the same. That's stealing.
How's that stealing? I didn't say I'm putting it in my own pocket. I'm using it to gamble. I'm using it to they're paying money. They're paying money. That money isn't designated to pay a light bill or anything. It's paid to the church. It's not. Nobody's writing
for it. It's called misappropriations.
But nobody's writing on their tithe form light bill specifically. Okay, you give the money, and that church either gives it to somebody who's in need or pays the lights or whatever it is they do with it. So if I then took portions of that and was gambling and playing the lottery and all this stuff for the purpose of building the church, a lot of people may say that's the sin. Some people may say it's not. But if I was taking that money and gambling it for myself, then definitely it will be a sin. And I'm just showing you that's the difference. Like one side has a balance. Like he's doing it to help build the ministry, even though it's gambling. But then there's another side where I can do it to help myself. That would definitely be a sin.
Well, again, that's called misappropriations, and it's actually a felony. It's technically
but you're still using gambling as a sin, is what I'm saying.
Well, it's also felony fraud. I'm just saying it's a bad example because you're taking money into a nonprofit organization saying or implying that it's for one thing and then using it on something else. That's fraud. So it's just a bad example. I liked your former example better.
Even if somebody gave me a salary as the pastor, and then I was using that money to gamble it on myself, that nobody wouldn't care about that. Is what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Nobody would care about that
because it belongs to you.
But I'm saying, but if the money was going to the church, I could be honest about that and still use it to gamble, and that would still be me using gambling in the incorrect way. Is what I'm saying. I don't have to be dishonest about the embezzling. Like, y'all give me the money and we're gonna use it to help people, and then I'm gambling it. What I'm saying is, people could give me the money and I can be honest and say what I'm doing with it. But if I end up using it to help the church, it could be argued whether it's gambling or not. But if I'm using it to help myself or to help pay my own car note or to help my own son go to college, but the rest of the kids, I'm not helping their college fund, all of those type of things is using gambling for the wrong way. And that's why I'm saying I think it's just case by case, because in the broader sense, this conversation does make me look at gambling as a whole as I don't think it's as bad as people are making it seem as a whole. But I do think that there is a way that gambling can be used in a sinful nature, is the point that I'm making.
I would agree with that.
No, I think there's nothing wrong with gambling something you own. If you want to take your chances, you take your chances. I see it every day. Every time I go on a gas station, you see a little old lady spending $100 on lottery tickets, because she's like, I don't know what it is. It's very sad, but it's almost like the last gasp of hope, is like, well, I lived 70 years and I didn't get where I wanted to be. So I'm just going to bet it all on the rest here and, hope for the best kind of a situation. But no, I think if you go into, I think that like Kellie said earlier, we look at casinos and things like that, and we just see them as kind of seedy, kind of like, it's filled with gambling and drinking and prostitutes and this and that and blah, 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 so we see it as more seedy. But if you put a suit and tie on and go down to the stock exchange and risk, $100 million of somebody else's life savings to try and make a little more, all of a sudden you're a captain of industry, But if you're throwing bones in a staircase somewhere, all of a sudden you're a criminal. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I just don't see the difference between the two.
I think it's I would go back to what I said earlier, just like you said, when you think of casinos, you think of all that comes with that. Like you said, and at the core of what gambling is, what it means, it may not be a sin. but everything that comes from it, that comes around it, like the example Rudy said, a father or a mother betting their child's college savings, is that a sin? No. But is it, is a sin against your family? Is it a sin against God? Is a sin against your child who's been waiting on this, college fund, and they get to college and realize, I had $100,000 and now we in a hole $100,000. So like I said, I think it's just, when you think of gambling, I think you think of that one aspect of it. I think you guys have definitely broadened, what gambling really means and what it really looks like. But I think it's the intent, the nature of it, and kind of the manifestation of the gamble itself.
Okay, so I'll put this one on you then. You say, well, you're losing money for your kids, the college fund or whatever. Well, what happens if you get like addicted to pain medication? Let's say you have an accident or a surgery and they put you on pain meds, and then you get addicted and you end up wasting all your money on that, on your addiction. Is that the same thing, or worse, or better? Or
if we're talking about taking money from, this money was allocated for this, for my child, for my family, for this, and whatever it is that you've used the money for inappropriately, then yes, I feel like that is, I'm not gonna say a sin, but it's definitely wrong. It's definitely not you as a mother, a father, a parent doing what was right for your family.
Right.
I think it's the same concept, whatever it is. I mean, because I feel like, let's say, you took the $100,000 out of your child's college fund and you made it $500,000. See, the family doesn't have any issue then, right?
No, it's only when you lose it.
Right. You don't have it. Cool. I don't have any issue then. Right. Now we in a whole $100,000. That's another issue. Right. We gained 400. I'm good. Right. So I think that's one.
So thing. I think what I'm hearing here is that gambling is not a sin as long as you do it appropriately and you don't risk more money than you capable of losing, or you don't risk money that is allocated to someone else.
I think it's just more or less if you win, because I don't think you can really control how appropriate it happens. But even if you got down to your last cent and all of a sudden you hit big, I think people would just be more willing to forgive you. Is what it is. Like
right. I don't think
for the gamble, it's not so much that the gamble, the action itself was any better or more moral. But I think just if you win, people just have more grace for the like, okay, well, at least you won and came up, as opposed to lost everything in the gamble.
Right. Well, that's our culture. That's the modern American culture. We worship success. That's what we do. That's why a man like Donald Trump, as sinful as he's been his whole life, can now lead, modern American conservative Christians. And they're like, well, yeah, that's our guy. Yeah. Right. What's that? He's cheated on every one of his wives and disowned 2 children, and all the terrible things he's done. And but they'll still follow him because he's successful, and that's what we worship these days. That's our new idolatry: is what have you done and how much have you got?
But my question to what you said earlier, Kelly, because when you were saying you whatever you were talking about, you were saying like, I don't know if that's considered a sin, but it would be wrong. I think it was like the messing up the college fund or whatever. I guess it made me even think about, and I know we already had this discussion on the podcast, but I guess what exactly is a sin, in the sense of, is a sin like anything wrong, or are specific things that are listed in the Bible sins? You feel what I'm saying? Because like if me, I guess, gambling, and like I said, and me losing the money is one thing, but in me gambling and winning the money is another thing. Like am I technically wrong if I gamble and lose? Because you know what I'm saying? Because I've now made a sacrifice and it didn't work out, or am I now, or am I now just saying no longer immorally correct, or that was a good move because now that I've made the move and we won, it's no longer a sin? Or you get what I'm saying? Like, if something's not morally correct, is that considered a sin, or is morals one thing and sin something else?
I can't tell you the answer to that right now.
Right, me.
But I will say this: that whether it's morally incorrect, a sin, just plain wrong, whether you win or lose, the action is still the same. Like you said, if you win, people are just more likely to forgive you. It's okay, not an issue. Versus if you lose, I'm ready to divorce you and leave you.
But if you lose, if you the mother gambled your kid's college fund and lost, right? So let's forget about people being able to forgive you. In that situation earlier, you were saying that you don't know if that would be considered a sin, but they would be in the wrong in that situation. They would have definitely made the wrong choice. So what I'm saying is, with them making that wrong choice, is that a sin? Does that not make it a sin because you've done something wrong, or was it just literally,
well,
you know what I'm saying, a mistake or something else?
Let me throw an analogy at you, and you tell me, okay? I'm a married man. Let's say I'm a married man and I'm a pastor, right? I have an affair on my wife. A child is born from that affair. That child grows up to cure cancer. Was it right or wrong for me to have the affair?
Wrong.
It was still wrong. Just because it worked out well doesn't mean that I didn't fuck up.
Right.
I fucked up and did the wrong thing.
But I've already.
Wait. This loops back around, because it doesn't mean that I didn't do the wrong thing. It just means, we'll go biblically here, that God can make good out of all things.
Gotcha. But that's not what I'm asking. I'm saying if we already know this is wrong, like you did the wrong thing. I'm not talking about it working out later. It didn't work out, and you were wrong. But to Kellie's verbiage earlier, she was saying that I don't know if it's considered a sin, but it's wrong. And so I'm just asking: are all wrong things not a sin? Can something be wrong and not a sin, or or once it's wrong, it falls into the category of sin? That's the question that I'm asking.
No, I think there are wrong things that don't have to be sins.
I think so too.
Yeah.
And the reason I asked, because
gaining a bunch of weight and sitting around all day watching Netflix is wrong. It's a bad thing. It's a bad thing for you. But is it a sin? I mean, sloth maybe, but
it could be if you're not taking care of your temple.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's sloth. That's one of the seven deadly sins.
So you saying every overweight person is sinning?
No, I'm not saying that at all. He's asking the difference between a sin and something that's wrong. I'm just trying to find an analogy that would.
And I would agree. I think there's things that are wrong that aren't sins. I think there are things that people have done to wrong me, or things that I've done to wrong others where it wasn't a sin, but it was wrong. It wasn't. Yeah.
It doesn't matter. We're all sinners at the end of the day.
For sure.
You're gonna You're gonna have anybody sit there and tell me they've never bared false witness? Come on.
I'm saying I don't think anybody's negating that whether anybody's sinned or done anything wrong. But I'm saying, I guess because it goes back to gambling. Because like if gambling isn't a sin, but it could be wrong. You feel what I'm saying? Like, or it could be right.
Like, well, I think that the Bible hit the nail on the head with this particular issue, which is it's not a sin. It's not a sin in God's eyes. If you want to, take your risks with your money, it makes you a bad steward, a foolish man. But a sin, no. Because is there a
difference between gambling money, just say for your business, as opposed to gambling for a game? Because like shooting dice, there's not necessarily any.
I'm sorry, casting lots.
There's not any like value in that per se, outside of it being like a competitive game and you just want to win money for fun. But as opposed to just say the stock market, which is kind of more or less dealing with companies that also, people shop at or whatever, it kind of has more, the success of that company is kind of more valuable, just say, to society, as opposed to me and you shooting dice in the backyard.
No, they're exactly the same thing.
Our dice game does not have the same effect on the economy as the stock market.
Well, that's true, but it does have the same the same mechanics to it. Like, for instance, when Facebook went down.
I'm not talking about the mechanics. I'm saying
I understand, but what I'm saying, like, when Facebook went down last week for like 6 hours, and Facebook and Instagram and all that stuff went down. Mark Zuckerberg lost $7 billion on Monday last week because his stock dropped so much out of some random nonsense that came out of a random nowhere place. But because it affected his company, it not only affected him, but it affected every stockholder that had Facebook stock at that time. That's gambling.
But when my cousin lost $15 in a craps game last week, it didn't affect nobody but him. And that's the point that I'm making. So what I'm saying is, if I'm gambling just for sport, as opposed to gambling for business, that's two different intentions. So,
well, your cousin
gambling,
did anybody
shooting dice?
Did anybody put a gun to your cousin's head and make him join that dice game? No. And nobody told you to buy stock either. Nobody told you to buy stock either.
That still has nothing to do with what I'm saying. I'm talking about a game.
Rudy, your internet is messing up.
Yeah.
The Facebook stock had an effect on a lot of people.
Yeah, you're right. It did.
Can you hear me now?
But only on the people who chose to buy the stock in the first place.
But
they're choosing to gamble.
You're missing the point.
I know. I'm hearing the point.
But who else?
I think you're missing mine.
Who else outside of the two people in that dice game got affected?
No, I get what you're saying.
I'm asking a question. I'm asking a question. Who outside of that dice game got affected besides those two people?
Everyone that your cousin owed money to?
Nobody besides those two people. But when it came down to Facebook, there was more people besides just Zuckerberg who got affected, because the gamble that's going on with Facebook and the gamble that's going on with two people in the backyard is two different. Yeah. It's two different gambles. One's
that's
for a
true.
game.
Let me ask you a question then. Let me ask you a question. Did the drop in the Facebook stock price, did that affect you?
I don't know.
No, it didn't. And you know why? Because you didn't buy it. You didn't buy the stock. You didn't go into the casino. If you go into the casino, you might lose. In fact, you're more than likely going to lose.
That's true, but that still doesn't speak to the point that I'm making. That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm asking, does it now make it sinful if I am gambling just for a game? Because you're saying, well, nobody lost it, they didn't buy the stock. That's all well and good, but that has nothing to do with it being a game or not. If you bought the stock, you're still not playing a game. You're still investing into something that's dealing with a business. But
the word investment,
two people who are shooting dice, they're gambling as a game. There's no type of nothing built for that surrounded this game that can help anybody, hurt anybody outside of these two people.
The word investment means gambling. You're literally investing in something, hoping it will pay off.
That's why I'm using the word investment, Terry. I'm saying
it's the exact same thing.
But you're not. But I'm saying in a game, you're not investing. Me and Kellie shooting dice right now. I'm not making an investment. We're doing this for fun. Like, oh, you think you can shoot better than me? Bam, bam, bam. What I'm saying is, all our lives, we looked at those two people as sinful people. And what I'm saying is, could that be because what they're doing, they're using gambling in just say maybe a perverted way, because they're just doing it as a game, as opposed to gambling could be used in a proper way, which is the stock market, business, taking risk, all these other things.
Man, that is all perception. That's perception.
I'm not perceiving anything. I'm asking that's the question that I'm asking. That's the whole point that I keep trying to make.
Well, that's the answer, is it's all perception. There's no difference between a dealer sitting behind a blackjack table and a broker in a $3,000 suit going to Wall Street.
Because you're still looking at how the concept of it goes, and there is no difference in that.
We see a difference because of the different perceptions. Just like I was telling Kelly, we look at casinos or dice games or this or that as being seedy, as being criminal, as being this and that. But there are much bigger criminals, and a lot of them are on Wall Street.
Yeah, but that doesn't make it not criminal just because there's a bigger one.
Well, that is true. It just depends on where you are, I guess. Because if you're in Atlantic City, Tunica, Mississippi, or Las Vegas, have at it, champ. Not only is it legal, but you could be a professional. You could do it for a living.
Okay, I don't know.
Well, I'm just saying it's all perception. That's all.
Kelly, anything else?
Kelly sees I'm up on my soapbox. She can leave me alone.
Back to those old days when we let Terry and Rudy do that.
But I do have a question for you, Kelly, before we get out of here. Why do you think that when you saw, just say, two people gambling on the street corner, that you looked at it as a sin at one point in time, whether it was before today, after today, whatever?
I don't. To be honest with you, I don't know if I looked at it as I don't know. I mean, that's a good question. I'll have to process that. I think that's just what you. Maybe because it's illegal. I don't know. That's a good question. Maybe because it's illegal. Maybe because that's the way I was taught or brought up that gambling was a sin. I know in my adulthood, probably like the last 5 or 6 years with some of the guys that I've dated, I've seen gambling just on a consistent basis, kind of outside of the casino, like gambling on sports games and those type of things that I wasn't really exposed to. I think it was just, but I never felt like anything was wrong with that, as long as you're gambling like Terry said, what's yours. My thing is, don't just over gamble and then you can't pay your rent. You can't pay a light bill and you calling me asking me to pay your cell phone bill, because I'm not going to do that. But so I don't know. I think I've always just been conditioned that it was wrong. It was illegal is what you don't do. But like I said, the conversation has given me some things to think about on just a broader sense of the word gambling. Sometimes you just see it as ghetto, to be honest. Two people on the side of the road. Exactly. Not even necessarily that they're sinning, that it's just hood. To see two people just shooting dice and got the money in the middle of the, because again, that's what the media shows you. So I don't, like I said, I don't know if I necessarily thought it was, like I said, even when I saw them betting on games, I didn't think necessarily like, oh my God, he's sinning,
Maybe it's kind of like alcohol in the Bible. Drinking wine is fine in the Bible, but falling into drunkenness is not. Mm-hmm. So maybe it's all about, like you said, keeping control over things, because, gamblaholics, the people who really have issues with that's a disease just like any other addiction. That's a disease. And if you've ever known I've known a few people that were really, really bad when it came to gambling, and they're not chasing the money after you notice after a while, they're not chasing the money. They're chasing the feeling, the feeling of winning that money, because you can send a gamblaholic into a casino, let him win $10 million, and before the night is out, he's probably going to be broke, because he's chasing that feeling of winning it, not that euphoria, that moment of being like, I finally got it, But he's going to dump it all back. That's what Vegas is built on. It's built on people trying to chase that dream, just like heroin addicts call it chasing the dragon. They're trying to feel that same feeling they had when they first tried it.
So you think addiction to gambling is a sin?
No, I don't. I don't think any addiction is a sin. I think it's a personal failing. I feel like it's a weakness, and it's a disease just like anything else. It's just a disease of the mind.
I think if you're addicted to or high on anything but the Lord, you are sinning. If you were searching for a high in the casino, in heroin, in sex, in what else are people addicted to? Pain medication, in whatever it is, and you are not addicted to the Lord, you are a sinner.
I'll take a little from each column.
Pretty much.
She got me when she said sex because, ooh, the ladies, that's my weakness.
You need to get high on the Lord.
I am. He gave me women. And he put women here for us.
He gave you self-control.
I gave up a rib. I'm going to take advantage. Okay.
He gave high on the Lord. Church announcements.
Church announcements.
I like how y'all said that this wasn't going to be but 20 minutes, and here we are an hour later.
I like how you keep liking to pin me with people. I didn't say anything. Kellie said that.
I said it.
I know. I'm not lumping you in.
You said y'all.
Well, Kellie, you tried to get me to do the other one. You tried to get me to do the other topic.
Black people hate when you lump them in with other people.
Yeah, I just right. Don't do that. Only time you lump us in is when you seen.
That's what it is.
Only time you lump us in is when you ask who seen Lottery Ticket. Outside of that,
anything else, black people hate.
I worked with the guy. I worked with one of the stars of that movie. I can't remember his name. The younger dude does the little rooftop speech. I'm trying to remember his name. Brandon Jackson. Yeah. I worked with him once. He was a really super nice guy.
Cool.
And people love that movie, man. That's how I know about it. I don't know about it. Look at me. How else would I know about it? You know?
Rooftop scene was pretty
But they stopped him everywhere. They're like, what Lottery Ticket? And I was like, what is Lottery Ticket?
He was in some other movie where he was like an animal in the back. Narnia. Chronicles of Narnia.
Chronicles of Narnia.
That's a Jesus allegory.
He was in Tropic Thunder.
Yeah.
Tropic Thunder is how I knew him. That's how I knew him as Booty Sweat guy from Tropic Thunder.
I've never seen Tropic Thunder. I have seen Roll Bounce.
You should watch Tropic Thunder. It's hilarious. It's a comedy classic.
I have to turn it on at the Lottery Ticket this week.
Robert Downey Jr. is in blackface for the whole movie.
But if you want to find us on social media, you can find us on Instagram at The Worst Ones PK. New content coming soon.
Next. What else?
If you want to listen to us, watch us, come hang out with us, come have a good time with us and laugh on your end. We can't really see you laughing, but you can like us and you can comment and you can share and you can message us. And there's something else that I'm missing. But to find us first, you have to go to The Worst Ones Podcast.
Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to do that.
On Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you find your podcast, or YouTube. If you want to see us, then like I said, like, comment, subscribe, share. I'm missing something. Let us know. We love to hear from you. As always, all 500 million of you, we love you. We thank you.
You are missing something.
Personal page. Princess Kels 51. It is private. So there's a nice picture of me from like 10 years ago. That's about all you're gonna get is the little picture thing from like 10 years ago.
There you go.
That's it.
All righty.
Terry Wynn Comedy. All social media platforms. Got a tour that we've already started. It's going really great so far. I believe our next date is at Gatsby's in Fort Lauderdale. So, you're not going to come out, but I'm going to say it anyway. That way I look like a good guy.
They actually may, because we're posting this.
They're probably not even in this state.
But because we're doing this on Sunday, they may actually be, usually it's like a week out. But they may actually be able to come.
Okay.
There you go.
Whoever in Georgia is listening to this, yeah, sure, drive down for the show. It won't be worth it.
We got 500 million followers. We have a million plus in every state.
Oh, all right.
Okay.
I don't think you did that math right.
10 million.
There's not 500 states.
10 million in every state.
There you go. There you go.
At the podcast official page, you can follow us there. Join us in another 2 weeks, or a week or so. Whatever it is. It's coming up the last Monday of each month. We'll be live on Zoom. 815-499-0955 is the Zoom ID. You can join us, and of course, shout out to Jay Rihanna, _, as well as Melanated Brews, as well as the Ghetto Garden.
No, she don't get it. No, she wasn't here. She didn't get a plug.
We miss you, Janessa.
We do this for you when you're not.
Do it for you.
We do this for you when you're not here.
We sure do.
I can tell he doesn't watch the episodes.
Right.
Anyways, shout out to you, Janessa, and the Rowland squad. Happy birthday to Jessica, or happy belated birthday to Jessica, her sister, another fellow PK. And this was wonderful. Great job, Kelly. Great job, Terry. And thank you guys for listening, watching, and subscribing. And please, if you have not thus far, share our podcast.
Just wait till you find out what next episode's going to be.
Oh, sorry. One last thing. Interested sponsors. Any more interested sponsors? Holler at us. All right.
The champagne of beers.
Negative. Miller Lite is disgusting.
Kelly,
it's a dad beer, okay?
Kelly, I thought you only high off God. How you know about Miller?
I just had a little.
You got to be middle-aged and white to appreciate it. That's what it is.
Yep, had a little taste. I said, "You know what, Lord? I'm sorry." This is Satan.
Well, fine. I'll keep it. I'm not going to drink a Colt 45, so we all got our own things.
Well, we're off to do communion, so you guys enjoy the rest of your night. We out.
Top of the world. Top of the world. Yeah, top of the world.